I'm Dr. Mark Martin, Associate Professor of Biology at the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington.
And I'm Dr. Jenny Quinn, Professor of Mathematics at the University of Washington, Tacoma. We have been married for 25 years and have been creating science-inspired bioluminescent art together for quite a few of them.
Looking at glowing flasks of bacteria always fascinates, and I am hardly the first to think of drawing or writing on petri dishes with such bacteria. Photobacterium leonothi KNH6, isolated by Drs. Ned Ruby and Eric Stabb in Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, is exceptionally bright, and thus an ideal paint for this transient luminous art form, which we call Lux Art. Our Sci-Art story begins in my classroom, where I offer extra credit to students who create art that relates to course materials. And since everyone loves bioluminescence, I thought, why not let students create their own Lux Art?
Mark wanted some examples to show his students what was possible, and he convinced me to try, and our collaboration was born. My first attempts were simple line drawings, but with experimentation, encouragement, and practice, they've developed into what you see now.
It's important to note that practice is necessary. Jenny's first portrait of Einstein, compared to her most recent version, shows her mastery of the medium, if you'll forgive the microbiology pun. Science has had the greatest influence on my life, my vocation, and our art. I clearly remember being handed a plate of bioluminescent Photobacterium phosphorium when I was 12 years old by a friend of my brother, and I was transfixed.
I can vouch for that. He loves anything that glows. Luminescence, fluorescence, phosphorescence.
And that event inspired me along my journey to be a scientist. And now I've come full circle using a related species of Photobacterium to create art and perhaps inspire others toward science as well.
For me, the greatest influence to create this art is a single person, Mark Martin.
Our artistic process has evolved over time, but always begins with a commitment to create. We collaborate on selecting subjects, ideally incorporating science or math in the image, although sometimes we select images from popular culture. Timing remains critical. I start the cultures and make the medium for the petri plates during the day. Photobacterium leonothi KNH6 grows incredibly fast from a single bright colony to a usable flask culture within 5 hours.
Mark truly is the microbe whisperer.
Then, Jenny paints in the evening with sterile paintbrushes. The bacteria on the plates grow overnight. Peak brightness occurs sometime after 8 to 10 hours, depending on conditions, and the light is dimmed out after about 2 days. I photograph the plates in the dark to preserve these ephemeral images glowing by their own light.
Painting on agar with a bacterial culture is a challenge. I like to describe it like painting on Jell-O with water. I can tell where I've painted because there's a difference in opacity or surface reflections. But honestly, I'm never sure what I've drawn until it develops. The most successful images from my point of view are the ones with interesting contrast between dark and light.
For me, the best subjects circle back to microbiology. Jenny and I have created a series of Lux portraits of women in microbiology we call luminaries of microbiology.
As a meta-commentary, here is a luminescent portrait of a bacterium painting a self-portrait using luminescent bacteria.
Mostly, we feature portraits of microbiologists to humanize the subject. One example is this pair of microscopists, Antoine Leeuwenhoek, the OG microscopist, and Ariane Briegel, a modern expert of cryo-electron tomography portrayed holding a Leeuwenhoek microscope.
Or Augustus Hinton, a microbiologist who was the first African-American professor at Harvard University.
Or Ned Ruby, one of the scientists who isolated Photobacterium leonothi KNH6.
Or Pete Gurgis and Colleen Cavanaugh of Harvard University, who have been ever patient supporters of my husband's efforts to be part of academia.
My favorite image is Jenny's wonderful interpretation of Dr. Esther Letterberg, a central, if unheralded, microbiologist. Bacteriophage lambda, anyone?
I'm rather fond of the portrait of David Tennant as the demon Crowley from Good Omens, because the enzyme that produces light is luciferase.
We share our images on social media with these high hopes. Number 1, to change the public perception, dare I say culture, of microbes. As you can see, they are not all bad. It is a microbial planet after all. 2, to showcase science as a creative human endeavor and promote awareness of microbiology and microbiologists. Respect all microbes.
3, to live in the moment as we appreciate ephemeral beauty. And 4, to share our mutual love of science, math, and art with the world.